Fringe Radio, your trusted source for the paranormal, conspiracy theory, and true crime. From the Mistopheles Studios, it's Dark Fringe Radio.
All right, Dark Fringe followers and listeners, thank you for joining us for another edition of Dark Fringe Radio. I'm your host, Will Martinez, here with my co-host, Jay Colosi. What's up, brother?
Good evening, friends, neighbors, Romans, Floridians, lots of Australians.
Romans, wow.
I mean, that's how it's supposed to start off, right? Romans.
Hey, as they do in Rome, right?
Lend me ear. Well, every time all I can think now is that scene from Robin Hood Men in Tights where the villagers literally pull off their ears and they throw them at Carrie Elwes. That's all I see when I think of that.
Oh, it's fucking crazy. Oh,
yeah.
Man. So what's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm living La Vida Loca, my friend. How are you doing?
Awesome.
We are
good.
We are surviving the torrential downpours. Mother Nature is bringing her wrath upon southern Florida, isn't it?
Yeah, God's pretty pissed off tonight. I just heard a pretty bad thunder that kind of rattled everything in the house. But yeah, that's not uncommon for Florida this time of year.
Yeah, welcome to summer, right? This is the summer in the swamp.
Yeah,
right?
People don't realize, especially how bad it gets down here, especially with the lightning and the thunder. People don't realize Florida's the lightning capital of the world. So we have a lot of shit going on down here.
And now we have water spouts.
Yeah, fuck those things too. Water spouts, and the other thing, what I saw a video of is a whirlpool. That thing kind of scares the fuck out of me. Have you seen those things?
Get out of it, right?
Yeah, I saw a dude fucking throw a log into a whirlpool, and the fucking log was gone. I don't know where it went.
Body go down the hole.
It's gone. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, listen, want to thank everybody for joining us tonight at Dark Fringe Radio. We have a great episode for you guys tonight. We're getting more into the rhythm of doing some, a lot of different stories. And tonight we're actually going to be on the true crime tip. And tonight we have a very, very cool story. It's actually very sad, but it's going to leave you wondering what the hell happened. And that's the Jamison family mystery. And we're going to get into that here in a little bit and get into all the details and maybe some theories as to what happened and break those down. And me and Jay are going to be doing that here in a second. But first, before we do all that, a little housekeeping. We want to let everybody know, Jay, how they can enjoy this fucking wonderful entertainment.
Wow, that really petered out, man.
I love it. Tonight, I'm feeling it.
Unless you're Captain Kirk, the dramatic pauses, they don't really work. Right?
But then when they do, they do. Or,
you can catch us.
When they do.
When they do.
They do.
And that's shake.
Yeah.
And bake.
And bake. There you go. Thank you. But yes, no, how could everybody listen to this podcast, Jay? Where could everybody go? Where can they listen to it?
Well,
where can they get their
wherever you want to hear your podcast, whenever you're bored, whenever you're looking for content, and whenever you want to hear two people just talking about God knows what for God knows why.
That's true.
Very late into the night, then you can catch it anywhere you get your podcast. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Google Play. You can find us on Stitcher. You can find us anywhere. You can find us on Spreaker. But the best place is to get it right from the main vein.
Yep.
You can get it right from darkfringe.com.
There you go, darkfringeradio.com. Make sure you go there, check out everything. Spooky season's coming up, so there's going to be a lot of stuff that we're going to be uploading.
And we have a new game we're going to start playing.
Yeah.
We have a new game we're going to start playing, everyone.
Yeah.
A lot of engagement, friends. It's going to be cool.
Yeah. It's going to be a playoff of What the F Florida Man.
3-card Monty.
Next week. And it is kind of like, I didn't even think
exactly
about that.
Just
I
with
didn't
a little
even think about it.
Yeah. See?
Yeah. See?
Wow.
Well, next week we'll be debuting that. But thanks, Jay, for letting everybody know where they can get their, of course, fill of Dark Fringe Radio. Make sure you go there as well. Our merchandise store is there, so make sure you pick up all our cool shirts. We have a lot of cool things there. I'll post them right there on the screen so you guys can see. And just make sure you follow us. Like Jay said, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. That place is going down in flames, huh, Jay? Have you seen that lately?
Only in Brazil.
Yeah, in Brazil, that's true. Yeah, they said they
Only
were
in
going to
Brazil.
ban it. Yeah, completely.
Only in Brazil.
Yeah, crazy.
But it's not like he has problems. It's not like, it's not like there's just people floating in space. It's not like there's, it's not like his cars are suddenly bursting into flames or, like there's a delay on a 6-something ton vehicle when it steers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe it looks like the DeLorean and the Aztec had a baby. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Again, I wouldn't want to be that guy. I mean, as smart as he is and as rich as he is, it just seems like the juice ain't worth the squeeze. I don't know.
No money, no problems.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Jay, tonight, before we get into What the F Florida Man, I wanted to kind of get into some Dark Fringe news. Are you ready?
Always ready for Dark Fringe news.
Awesome.
For 15 years, I've
fire
been
that
trying to
engineer.
write a lead. Do I have to do everything myself? Get the story, write the story?
Fuck's sake.
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I was looking at the James Brown wig.
Fucking thing sucks.
If that's your kind of thing, Maria, you love doing it yourself.
Sometimes, yeah. I can. Take
Innuendo there.
Confucius say, I do not think the story had much validity.
What? All right, Jay. This week on Dark Fringe News, it's actually an update to our last episode. For those that don't know, we did a Facebook Live about a week ago, and we actually started to talk about a very important subject that was happening here in South Florida. There was a proposal put out by the governor. Let's keep that in mind. That was by the governor. With proposals for putting in certain things at state parks, which everybody was against. We're talking about golf courses, hotels, things of that nature, just things that we don't need on our golf courses, on our state parks. So
Get rid of our state parks for golf courses, pickleball courses. They're trying to bring additional amenities that nobody asked for, and getting rid of wildlife, getting rid of nature, getting rid of some bush and trees. They're getting rid of things that you can only get here in Florida. They're getting rid of some things that you can only get actually here at Johnson Dickens State Park. And Will and I did a Facebook Live. Also, all apologies to me not having audio. We are continuing to work on some technical difficulties. We worked on some more tonight and had some more tonight. There's all kinds of links. We have gotten a message from the governor, who has gone ahead and said that. Go ahead, William, you go pick up.
Well, yeah, the update came this week. First off, the meetings were canceled. We discussed that during the live meeting. Or the
You mean they're not going to play the video recordings in front of a live studio audience?
Correct. Yeah, it was a bullshit meeting anyway. Like Jay was mentioning, they were just going to show videos and not answer
any question,
one question at all whatsoever. So it was pretty much what do they say? An exercise in futility, right?
Yep.
So yeah, they did that first. Cancel those meetings because that was a waste of time. And then a few days later, Jay, big news came out. The Florida Department, of course, Environmental Protection withdraw every remaining proposal amendment to state parks. Now,
at the moment,
that's so crazy, and I'm glad that they did it. There was such an uproar from people about this, and I'm so happy to see that stuff like this can be combated by the reaction from people. Right. Exactly.
This is what it's supposed to be, right?
This is what it's supposed to be.
We the people.
Yep.
For the people, by the people, that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
How often do we feel like it's for the people, by the people anymore? Never.
It doesn't seem like it anymore.
Ever. It never seems like it. So this is a big win for the little guy at the moment.
Absolutely.
So
let me read you the story.
I say at the moment because I'm very skeptical.
Yeah, me too. And we're going to get into that. So Tallahassee Florida, following more than a week of protests of Jay, everybody, like I said, up in arms and pushback, the Florida Department of Environmental Protection has withdrawn all remaining proposed amendments to state parks. The agency said in a statement that the decision came from the direction of the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and feedback from the public. Let's probably say it was probably the reverse of that. It was the feedback from the public first, and then the knee-jerk reaction of Mr. Ron DeSantis. But we'll go ahead and continue. We will shift to discussions with our local park managers and revisit any park improvements if needed. And next year, the FDEP spokeswoman Alexandra Kuchta said in a statement. Which, of course, Jay, brings the first thought to mind is just like, okay, are they just pushing us down the road so that we'll forget about it until next year? You think that's what they're doing?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're waiting for it to cool down. And then I think the next time, I don't think they do anything. I think they just go do it.
Right. You think so, huh? The thing is I think they have to make these announcements. So, like, you have to catch them, like, in the act. You know what I mean? So I think we caught them in the act early enough in this situation.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the backing, so from what I've gathered from the rumor mill, possibly, or whatever, whatever.
Unverified Dark Fringe affiliates. You like that?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It seems like one of the reasons why this got stopped is because when everybody started getting word of it, we started poking holes to asking questions of who actually is developing. Right. And nobody wanted to actually come forward and say that they were. Now, the Nicholases have recently come out and said they were not explicitly, which is really funny because before they said they were not explicitly, they gave no statement whatsoever.
So convenient. Huh, Jay? Come on.
Weird, bro.
Very weird.
Just saying. Just saying. So, my guess is next time somebody's going to have enough money to put their name on it and not care, and it won't matter what the public's going to say because then it's no longer going to matter.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
That's the scary part. Yeah. And a lot of residents, that WPTV, of course, that's the news station that reported on this, spoke to a lot of the residents, and they were calling it a statewide victory. I mean, I think it was. And the announcement comes a day later after DeSantis held a news conference, said that a lot of the stuff was half-baked and was not ready for prime time. That was his quote. Meanwhile, Jay, this was put out as a proposal and was put out as what he said that he approved. So by him saying this is just like, so you're saying you put out something that was half-baked and that was not ready for prime time on purpose?
I'm sorry. Are we talking about a man who runs in a party that currently has someone up?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure was found guilty. Possibly.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just saying, right?
Yeah.
That same man also said that he was like 6'6", 220, never in better shape, and could outdrive Tiger Woods on a golf course. So again, what we're saying is that
I'm 135-pound ballerina, Jay. How about that? That's how I identify as.
I don't judge you, Will.
Okay, thank you.
Whatever makes you happy, buddy.
Thank you. See, that's my brother right there.
That's always.
See,
always whatever floats your El Bodo, homie. Okay, none of my business. As long as it doesn't happen in my bedroom.
That's right. Well, Jay, however, the governor said in some of the uproar from the proposal related to the state's Great Outdoors Initiative. Remember, that was the initiative that he put his name on. Remember? He signed and said that was his. And at the 9 state parks was, quote-unquote, misrepresented.
Misrepresented.
Yes, I couldn't get it out, Jay.
Misrepresented.
But yeah, and not approved by me, which is bullshit because it had his name all over it.
Yeah.
And you can't just put your name as the governor on something and say it's from him and not get in trouble for it if you're trying to, obviously.
Do you know what it kind of reminds me of?
What's that, Jay?
Have you ever seen? Now we're gonna go slightly off on a tangent,
Uh-oh.
friends. And enjoy this, guys, because
Left turn.
I'm gonna be like this probably all night long. I can't help it. I'm sorry.
ADHD.
So, wow.
Wow. Bro, we're kids from the fucking 70s and 80s. Everybody had ADHD.
Speaking about going back to 70s, 80s, that actually brings me back to my tangent. Have you ever seen the musical with Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds called The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas?
In Texas, yes.
Do you remember the governor actually gets caught at that whorehouse in Texas, and he goes and releases a statement. He says, "I do not have any independent recollection of ever being at the Chicken Ranch. If there was any video or pictures of me there, it must have been by my it was outside of my constituency. It was done by my whatevers or by communists."
Commies, yeah. You always gotta worry about those guys. The commies.
I mean, listen.
They don't even exist anymore. Now they're our friends, supposedly.
Do they? Don't they? Communism, consumerism, whatever, right? There's an ism that we're getting screwed by. Anyway, reaching back around, so Ron DeSantis comes out saying he did not approve this thing that clearly he actually had signatured that he approved.
Yeah.
So somebody else must have forged his signature. Not that that's like a felony or anything.
Yeah.
We like to follow those laws that the government holds so tight.
Right. Well, Jay.
So now everything they're trying to say seems safe. But it's suspect to me. Do you know who has actually been the biggest? Have you been seeing who's been actually like spearheading all the positive media and really making sure that they answer to? Like, there's one particular person, oddly enough,
who is it?
Who is Jessica Namath?
Really?
Really?
Wow.
If you start really looking through, she has seemed to most recently been the spokesperson kind of for the people of this area. I actually taught her kids across the street right here in Jupiter. Met her dad Joe one morning after the Niners lost the Super Bowl with Kansas City Chiefs. Great story, great man. Another story for another time. But she is actually kind of spearheading the civil side of this from the perspective of the little man, and she is holding tightly to it.
Yeah.
And I give her all accommodations, all my kudos, big props and respect, because she's holding them tight to it, man. I give it to her.
That's awesome, and it's so cool that it's it always seems like 6 degrees of separation with us, right? And Dark Fringe Radio, right?
Yeah. Your name.
Very close. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think there was a quote that she put out there, and it kind of relates to what you were talking about earlier, Jay, was that, you're skeptical about what's going to happen. Obviously they're just going to kick this can down the road and just revisit it, and hopefully that nobody pays attention to it. So her quote was that it seems to be like the typical move of delay. And this is something that they probably will revisit again next year, and hoping that we're going to forget, basically. So,
why do you think they would revisit it next year, William?
Well, why? Of course. They just want, again, another shot to see if people will make another stink about it or not. And if not,
do you think if the government is run by maybe a different side, that would maybe change their willingness to push through something that maybe wasn't necessarily above board?
Yeah.
Maybe be a little easier that way?
I agree. Yes, I think that theory may reign true.
Now, that's all speculation.
Right.
I'm just simply saying you see patterns, you call out patterns, right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah. Well,
okay, moving on.
Again, Jay, I think, these people, these politicians, these, local officials, county commissioners, they push these things, and they don't realize that sometimes people are paying attention, and they don't want their environment to be invaded and changed, and all for the sake of money. Yeah, nobody wants that.
Mighty dollar.
Yeah, it's all about the money. All about the money.
All about
it's
money.
Funny, Jay. WPTV, they actually traveled to Tallahassee. They tried to speak with Governor DeSantis' office and members of the FDEP. But oddly enough, Jay, nobody would answer any questions.
I thought Labor
out.
Day was this weekend. It's
Oh,
next weekend? My God.
Yeah, they have not heard back, Jay. Nothing. It's been pretty much crickets. So, yeah, that's a big update to our live episode that we did. You know, if we made a little bit of difference, I'm happy. I'm happy with the outcome. You know, I'm glad that we don't have to worry about this issue this year. But again, it's something that we have to keep a mental note about on a yearly basis to make sure that these proposals are reviewed by somebody with a fucking, you know, a sane mind to say, and, you know, somebody who's completely bipartisan and just able to look at something and like say, hey, listen, these are the proposals that are out there. Maybe these are the ones you might want to take a look at.
No, fuck bipartisan. It should be somebody who has their priorities straight.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe the number one priority we should be talking about is protecting our planet.
Yeah. That might be
maybe trying to unskull fuck it. Oh gosh, I was trying not to curse.
Too late.
I'm not even sure if that's the first one either.
No, it's probably not. Probably not.
God, no, I probably not.
It's all good. Well, Jay, I think that's a good wrap up for Dark Fringe News. That brings us to What the F Florida Man. Are you ready for that?
I am. That's it.
All right, let's do it.
Florida man.
A Florida man.
A Florida man. A Florida man.
Now to the town of Seffner, Florida, near Tampa, where last night the earth opened up, as it does increasingly, and this time it swallowed a 37-year-old man as he slept in his home.
A man accused of destroying a liquor store in Okaloosa County told police he was in Alice in Wonderland. Matthew Horace Jones also said a caterpillar smoking a hookah told him to do it.
A man calls 911 while Collier County Sheriff's deputies are chasing him, and he says Donald Trump, our president, is his personal friend, a close one at that.
A Lake Worth man is not too happy. He's accused of getting violent when waiters at a restaurant told him they weren't giving away free pizza.
Covering Florida this morning, a Key West man is behind bars. Investigators say he was caught with a large amount of cocaine hidden in this Cookie Monster doll.
Holy shit, man.
All right, Jay. What do you have for us this week?
Absolutely one of my favorite sounders. I love hearing it.
You like that, right?
Just the best.
Best
all
all
right,
time.
ready for this?
All right, Jay. What do you have this week?
Florida woman calls 911 over stolen weed.
What?
Gets arrested for outstanding warrants.
You narked on yourself. How do you do that?
You gotta be good.
How do you narc on yourself?
You gotta be good. And just wait, William, because when you hear what she called about,
oh no,
coño. Okay,
here we go.
A Florida woman was arrested this week when she made a bad decision. It was actually this week. It was November 10th. We're gonna get back to the month. But either way, a Florida woman was arrested this week when she made a bad decision to call police and report a friend had stolen her weed. All right. Well, first off, if they're gonna steal your weed,
that's not your friend. Yeah.
That's not your friend.
You share your weed.
You share your.
Yeah, that's right.
As I was so politely reminded last time William was at my house.
I wasn't the one. Yeah.
My wife yelled at me.
Yeah.
She did. Not only did she have marijuana with her when the cops were, but they also found that she had 2 outstanding warrants. At least this is according to a police report that was obtained by the Smoking Gun.
Ooh.
The Stewart police.
Oh, that's not too far from us. That's
about
Cousin
40
Pete's
minutes.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 40 minutes north of me.
Yep.
Stewart police responded to a call about stolen property at a Best Western hotel.
Oh, that's got.
Oh, it gets better. They found Lily Rinker, who gave them a play-by-play of how the theft went down.
Oh.
Rinker was hanging out with her friend Carlos, who she had known for about a week.
Yeah.
Sounds about right?
Sounds about right.
During the time, as they had hung out, she had left. When she came back, she had found that approximately $30 worth of weed was missing from her grinder.
$30 worth of weed. Okay.
$30 worth of weed. After Carlos had after Carlos left, she looked in her grinder. That's where she found it to be gone. She then calls the police, only for them to find out that she has 2 warrants out. First one is for missing a court date.
Ah, yeah.
Second one, criminal mischief.
Mm-hmm.
As that one, she was had to do with a DUI. So sounds like she got a Dewey.
Yeah,
maybe
like Lily.
Marijuana.
Her $30 missing of marijuana wasn't the biggest thing she should have be worrying about at that point. No.
If you know that's $30 worth and it's in a grinder, and I can tell you how I know she knows it's $30 worth in a grinder
because that's an eighth.
That's an eighth, and that's exactly how I buy it. That's exactly how I do.
Yeah.
Okay, I know how much goes in my grinder.
Don't
because
tell
that's
her
how
how
I know. That's how I know.
Don't give away the secrets.
I'm just like, are we sure it was stolen? Sometimes it gets stolen.
That does happen. Sometimes you do burn a few bowls. You're like, holy shit! Yeah,
I don't know how. There have been a few mornings where I've woken up and looked at my little glass thing and gone,
yeah.
I don't remember it not being that full later that evening, but
oh yeah.
Yep,
that's what happens.
So my guess would be, as upset as she was about losing her $30 worth of weed, which my guess is she enjoyed very much so. Very, very much so. That she forgot in her behest to get back her $30 worth of green.
Wow.
She got.
Well, listen. I mean, not the most outlandish thing that's probably happened in Florida, but
very Florida though.
But very Florida.
Very,
Yeah. Very Florida. Well, Jay, thanks so much for that wonderful story here. What the F Florida woman losing an eighth of weed? Don't ask us how we know.
Got to keep it balanced.
There you go. All right, Jay. Well, that's going to bring us to our main topic for tonight, and where we're going to be talking about the Jamison family mystery. So please hang tight, buckle up, and get ready for a very good episode of Dark Fringe Radio. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us here at Dark Fringe Radio. We're going to have a very just mind-blowing episode tonight because we're going to be talking about the Jamison family mystery, Jay. And this is a story that actually came across my radar over the past weekend. Saw a couple of episodes of podcasts out there that were talking about this, and I found it to be a very, very interesting true crime I would say, subject of this family out in Oklahoma. And we're going to be talking about it here. Of course, the Jamison family disappearance is one of the most perplexing and eerie cases in recent American history. The family, consisting of Bobby Jamison, his wife Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison, went missing October 2009 in the remote mountains of southeastern Oklahoma. Their disappearance and circumstances surrounding it have sparked numerous theories, and mystery remains unsolved, Jay. That's what we liked. So, true crime here. We're going to get into it, talk about the background and the actual disappearance. So, what happened? So, of course, it's Bobby Jamison, 44, and Sherilyn Jamison, 40, lived with their daughter Madison in Eufaula, Oklahoma. And they were described as those as somewhat reclusive type of family, dealing with various personal and financial difficulties. Bobby had been injured in a car accident, which led to chronic pain and significant decline in his physical and mental health. Sherilyn was reported to have struggled with depression, and she had a history of mental health issues. And October 8th of 2009, the family traveled to a remote area near Red Oak, Oklahoma, where they considered purchasing a 40-acre plot of land. That's where they were last seen by a local man who lived nearby and showed them the land. After this, they just vanished, Jay. I mean, just like nothing. Nothing. They don't know where they went. There was no signs of like force. There was no signs of struggle. So it was all very weird, And so we're going to talk about some of the theories that may be plausible to the reasons of why this particular family disappeared. Now, getting back to the story, the next thing that happened was 8 days later, there was the discovery of the truck, of their truck. And that was on October 16th, 2009. Was basically found abandoned in Latimer County, Oklahoma, which was about 2 3/4 miles from where they were, basically missing. So inside the truck were wallets, IDs, mobile phones, the GPS system. I think they said about $32,000 worth of cash. The family dog was in there. He was still alive. Thank God, alive, malnourished, but alive. There was no signs of struggle though, and the money was there. All the stuff is there, so it wasn't like they were trying to rob them, right? Because they would have took $32,000. I mean, that's the first thing that anybody would have taken, right?
Bro, you got $50, they're gonna take $50. You got $32,000.
Yeah, in a bag under the front seat of the car.
I don't care if their motive wasn't money in the first place. If suddenly you end up dead and you got $32,000 cash to be grabbed,
right?
That money's not gonna be there.
Exactly. So the truck's location, the dog being in there, all these personal belongings, cell phones, which if you think you're going to go, you're going to take your cell phone with you at least, because at least you could communicate or kind of figure out where you're at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So all these circumstances here, Jay, were very bizarre. The large sum of cash, like we're talking about, the lack of any signs of struggle, the fact they left without taking the essential items, the dog being still there, a search of the area was conducted.
Right?
Yeah, it was weird.
I wouldn't leave my dog.
No, that'd be the first thing I'd take with me.
Right?
As soon as I get out, the dog's coming with me. I mean, I'm not leaving the dog in there unless there's maybe something that's going on out there that I don't want the dog to get injured. That's the only thing. And maybe that's what it was. I don't know, but who knows?
Who knows?
So, Jay, it wasn't until 4 years later, in November of 2013, that a partial skeleton remains were found by hunters about 3 miles from where the truck had been abandoned. The remains were identified as those of Bobby, Sherilyn, and Madison. Due to the condition of the remains, the cause of death could not be determined, although it was noted they had not been buried. So it looks like they were just left there. But it was very odd because that's, again, less than 3 miles away from where they disappeared, Jay. And are you telling me that the search party didn't probably look at that area? I'm sure they looked within 5 mile radius, right?
One would think.
One would think, right?
One would think. But, people can be inept.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's not exactly, Boynton Beach, Florida. Maybe a little bit more sprawling, right?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and that's not what Oklahoma is. Just where they were in Oklahoma is in nowhere. It's just fact.
You're right. Absolutely.
So, I mean,
maybe, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, let's talk about some of the theories surrounding their death, okay?
Yeah.
And disappearance. So
there's lots of them.
I'll start it off, and we'll hit theory by theory. We'll talk about some of the merits of those theories. We'll talk about some of the things that may debunk that theory and our overall, thought or conclusion about that theory. So let's start off with number 1. Okay, Jay?
Number 1.
Yep. The murder-suicide theory. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds pretty plausible when you hear from it already from that, that perspective. But let's get into it. Some have speculated that either Bobby or Sherilyn may have killed the other and their daughter before taking their own life. This theory is partly based on Sherilyn's history of mental health issues and a disturbed note found in the family home. However, the lack of clear evidence and such as a weapon, or as they would call it, they call it
phone gun.
There you go. Or a definitive cause, or I was going to say the murder weapon of death that makes this theory inconclusive, of course. So the murder-suicide theory, Jay, in the Jamison family case is one of the more, I'd say, plausible, but very still controversial, I would say, because there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of different layers into the story, too. And there's a lot of different layers and a lot of different theories why. And we'll talk about those. The theory, of either Bobby or Sherilyn Jamison may have killed the other and then their daughter before taking their own life. The theory, of course, is rooted in the family's known mental health issues. I mean, it's kind of like noted over time that they've had issues with this. They've also had financial struggles and some very particular behavior leading up to the disappearance. We're going to be talking about that. So let's talk about some of the factors supporting that theory. All right. So number one, the mental health issues. Okay. Yes. Sherilyn Jamison had documented history of that issue, including depression, bipolar disorder. There was also reports that she had stopped taking her medication before the family disappearance. So, which of course would have led to erratic behavior, just up and down. And friends and family described her as a struggling emotionally person. They can tell. And when you can tell somebody like that, and it comes out, it's kind of, that means that it's really taken over you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it's apparent like that. Because a lot of people can hide that stuff. And if it comes out like that and people can really read that out of you, that says a lot, in my opinion.
Most of us, right? Most of us have an ability to, within reason, keep our emotions in check, especially in times when we really have to, right?
Yep.
We're all adults. We have jobs. When you're at work, you stub your toe really hard. Do you yell profanities and curse and cry and bang on the ground and say, "Why me, Lord?" No.
Yeah. No.
But you hit that crown molding in your kitchen, and boy, you are cursing to the heavens, right?
Saying all kinds of stuff.
Right. So there is a level of just adulthood you get to a certain point with, and I think as you get there, you learn how to kind of deflate some of those stresses. But when you add in being bipolar, and then you add in going off medications, then it's going to lead you to not make as rational or as group rational decision as one would make, right? Most of us would do some of the things that these people have done or would do. But most of us also aren't bipolar and trying to deal with chemical imbalances that it's not like I don't feel good today. There's a chemical imbalance and it's just you are that person that day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's very difficult thing to deal with. Everybody has somebody in their family that they have to deal with in some capacity.
We sure do.
And we learn certain aspects of that. You know what I mean? And we address them. And that's what you're supposed to do. And you're trying to figure them out. And then I can see in certain circumstances where you don't have the, let's say, support, number one, or the resources, number two, or, whatever, number three.
You don't have the wherewithal or ability
to,
out of a hole. And next thing you know, it feels like the entire world is sitting on your chest and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And you have nobody there to kind of put you in check and say, hey, listen, you need to take a step back and kind of reevaluate things and stuff like that, or talk to somebody. They don't have anybody they can talk to. So again, this is also a very, very plausible theory, and that's why it's number one. But let me go into this a little further here, Jay, because it's not just Sherilyn, but Bobby Jamison himself also experienced mental health challenges, particularly following a car accident he had in 2003 that left him with chronic pain, likely contributed to his depression. His health issues had, caused significant stress on the family, both emotionally and financially. So that's another aspect to this. Now, there's another thing here that we kind of touched on earlier, but there was a disturbing letter that was left over too, Jay.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. So investigators found an 11-page letter written by Sherilyn in the family's home after the disappearance, and the letter was filled with anger and resentment towards Bobby, basically detailing, her unhappiness in their marriage and blaming him for many of the problems. While, of course, this could suggest, marital strife, of course, that everybody, I'm sure, in this world...
Money is the number one reason for divorce.
Of course. That's number one. And everybody knows it. And so a lot of that could contribute to the overall aspect of that, and then the mental health issues on top of that just being like a perfect storm of
already
shit.
becoming a very volatile situation.
Yeah, right? Could you imagine, like, people just on the
Just a
edge
powder
of
keg.
something like this happening? Yeah, like you said, a powder keg. Yep. So, going back to Sherilyn, this may have been a sign of how her, disturbed state of mind that she was in. And she was actually, possibly even considering harming her family because of this. So, again, getting to some more of the financial personal struggles, they were going through significant financial difficulties. He was unable to work because of the injury, relying on disability, basically. There were rumors they were planning to, like, live off the grid, of course, and that kind of creates a sense of, desperation and like, weird to, like, trying to escape, your troubles in a way. You know what I mean? Just try to live off the grid,
These days it's becoming a much more normalized thing, right?
Yeah.
Small window, little microcosm, right? You and I, we grew up down here.
Mm-hmm.
We went to school, public schools, from kindergarten when we were 5 years old to 12th grade when you're 18, you graduate.
Yep.
I'm seeing more and more, because I work with kids, so I'm in a lot of these school systems, and these preschools to elementary schools to middle schools to high schools. Mm-hmm. And what I'm seeing is more and more people are pulling their kids out of public schools. They're pulling them out of private schools. Yep. More people are pulling more to homeschooling, independent education, and small pod learning, with very specific focuses on whatever it is that they're looking to focus on. I've seen some really great things out there.
No,
it's great, right?
Yeah.
But what it looks like is more and more of the populace is starting to pull away from the government. Now, I know this is, we're going back 10 years. Mm-hmm. But is 10 years really all that far back to have somebody starting to say, there's too much government, I owe this bank money, I owe that bank money, it's making my wife and I fight, I can't afford her medication, which is probably part of the reason why she was on the meds, because they can afford it. He's on disability because he can't work, car accident, which that whole car accident has a very interesting backstory behind it too.
Yeah.
And it leads to, it's like a domino effect. It leads to this explosion. You can almost see it coming. So I don't think it's so crazy. And let's be real, Oklahoma is off the grid.
Yeah, it is off the grid. Yeah, you're right. Well, another aspect to the leaning to the murder-suicide theory, Jay, is the awkward behavioral changes that they had there. In the weeks leading up to the disappearance, the Jamisons exhibited, very strange behavior, Jay. They were described as withdrawn, paranoid. There was some security footage from their home that showed them in a trance-like state. They were moving belongings in and out of their truck repeatedly without any purpose. This behavior indicated a deteriorating mental state, supposedly, and possibly leading to this irrational actions that these people made, of course. So this whole murder-suicide theory, it being the most plausible, based on the available evidence and the circumstances, the proponents of the murder-suicide theory speculate the following scenario. Let's talk about this. So, Jay, the emotional changes, right?
Right.
Bobby Sherilyn may have reached a breaking point, maybe because of all the financial woes, strained relationships, that could have triggered a decision to end their lives and take their daughter with them. Maybe it was a premeditated or impulsive act, where the act was kind of premeditated and kind of explained why that large sum of money was left in the truck and indicating why there was no longer, like, they cared for, like, the situation, what was going on. The dog was left behind, those strange actions. So, again, another aspect, the location and method, okay? The fact that the family was found in a remote location far from where they parked, that would suggest that they walked to the woods. Either that or somebody did something to them and left them there, because I'm sure there was people that were looking in that area at some point, right? And it took 4 years, which is the odd part too.
Yeah,
But again, you are talking about Oklahoma. Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about Oklahoma. You're talking, and we don't know what time necessarily what was going on in that area. There may have been a lot of leaves, may have been a lot of wind,
right?
May have been a lot of green, may have been a lot of brown. Sometimes, and I'm not saying that it wouldn't be easy necessarily to overlook 3 bodies,
right?
A body of a beautiful young family just laying there. But on the same token, because we really don't know what led to those bodies being in that spot, we don't know why they were there.
Mm-hmm.
It's even hard to speculate on, was somebody doing something to them and then deposit their bodies back. That wouldn't make much sense, right?
Yeah.
Because we're going to drag around 3 bodies just so you can bring them right back to, like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Right. Well, like
I
said,
I believe wherever the bodies were found, I believe that's where they died.
That's where they died. Okay. Well, the thing is that if we're going to ride on this murder-suicide, theory, the lack of a murder weapon or signs of obvious trauma or remains, that makes it difficult to determine that act and method. You know what I mean? Because if you're going to do that, there's going to be at least a gun or a knife or something. Nothing
yeah, but
was found.
maybe the threat of a gun or a knife, right?
Yeah.
How many stories do you hear about people being robbed or carjacked, brought out to the woods, dragged out? We actually, one of the last ones we did on the guy from Boynton, right? The guy from Fort.
Yeah.
That was his MO. Was he would go to the mall. He would tell girls they looked pretty. And he was a photographer and a race car driver.
You want to be a
model?
model?
He would drive them out to the middle of nowhere with a gun or a knife.
Yeah.
He'd do whatever he was going to do with them, and then he'd bring them out, and he would do that right there, right?
Yeah.
So as he got more sloppy, that's when you started having guns. But I'm telling you, if you have a gun, take someone out to the middle of nowhere, you don't need necessarily the gun to kill them if you're prepared or you. Family 3, I would think there would then be a struggle if one realized, or there would be gunshots. But again, the bodies were so decomposed, it's hard to say there wasn't evidence of a struggle at the truck.
Yeah.
And the bodies didn't show any, so no, like, broken bones or anything, but it doesn't necessarily mean that
something didn't happen. Right. No, I get it. But there's still no gun, there's no nothing. So that's what, that's why it kind of casts a little bit of doubt on that particular theory. Even it being one of the strongest, or if not the strongest theory, it does cast a little bit of doubt because of no murder weapon.
Yes.
It is odd. I mean...
Yeah. I don't think, when you say murder-suicide,
right?
I don't think murder-suicide in the way that everyone else is thinking murder-suicide. I believe in the context in which it was kind of presented that way. I don't think you can consider this a murder-suicide, per se, in the traditional sense.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, again, the conclusion is that it remains one of the more plausible, but again, a little bit of cast of doubt because of no murder weapon being found. So we're going to get into theory number 2, Jay. This is one that you're going to cover, and I thought this was pretty brilliant too, because it can make a plausible theory here to this, Jay. If not one of the top, at least number 2, but it's the drug-related activity theory. Go ahead, Jay.
I would be like number 2.
Oh yeah.
But you do also realize that if it's number 2, that means it's the poo, so take a whiff.
Yes.
The drug-related activity theory surrounding the Jamison family disappearance and death is another compelling but speculative explanation for the mysterious circumstances in which of this case. This theory suggests the family may have been involved in or become victims of illegal drug activities, particularly related to methamphetamine production or trafficking, which is prevalent in the rural areas of Oklahoma.
Okay.
Factors that are supporting this is that the area is known for drug activity. I can tell you, after living in Tennessee, and the areas in which I live in Tennessee will remain nameless. Meth be everywhere. Okay,
I've heard that. Like I've heard like those areas like Tennessee, Kentucky.
Because it's from what I've seen people be addicted to meth, and it's a really nasty drug. It's a very, very
Yeah.
It's one of the hardest things you can see somebody you care about go through, because the effect can differ so greatly, and it can be so traumatic, and it can cause such effects on everybody around you.
Gotcha.
But it is also something that can be made at home. And I'm sorry, a country boy can survive tells us, if it's broke, we fix it.
True.
Right.
True.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So if I can fix it, I'm fun to fix it.
There you go.
And that's just how that works. So as we start to talk about our second theory, we're talking about how they are possibly selling drugs, pushing drugs. Another thing that leads to this theory is the fact that there was that large lump sum of cash in the car. $32,000, I said earlier.
Yeah.
People will take $50. People will take $2.
Yeah.
People will take.
I know we have
25
inflation right now, but damn, 32,000.
If it doesn't belong to you, right?
Yeah.
People will just take it any fucking way.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me that somebody, right, $32,000, it's not a lot of money. If you owed somebody, especially somebody who, I don't know, sold or trafficked meth,
Yeah.
$32,000 would be a reason to kill someone's family.
Yeah.
I can see that.
You can see that too.
But then it was left.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It was left behind. So why else would we might think that? Well, Cheryl and I had some past connections. Some of our friends will report that she had acquaintances who were known in the drug area. They were known in that environment. They were known to interact in those rings and those circles. Bobby himself had been known to deal drugs on occasion, although most of that was smaller things. It was not meth. It was what they pushed or sold. And there was still no signs of struggle. So if they were drug nefarios or owed drug nefarios, you would think that there may be more signs of a struggle. Now, I did say that execution style, if somebody had a gun, they could make the entire family get into the car with dogs, drag them out to the middle of nowhere, and pop, 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 kind of Gotti style.
Mm-hmm.
I say that out of respect. But I'm still saying it's very plausible. And when you say signs of struggle, there was no signs of struggle at the car. The bodies were majorly decomposed.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to say how much damage may have been there. A choke.
Right.
Once that flesh is gone, you're not going to know. Once those eyes are gone, you're not going to see the hypoxia.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm also not a doctor. Maybe there are other ways to know, and I don't know. Hey, sound off in the sounders. Hit us up in the comments.
There is a way, and the only way I know this, Jay, is because of the Epstein thing where they say he hung himself, and they had the doctor from the show Autopsy that was on HBO came on and said that no, the autopsy of Epstein's body had signs of somebody choking him because there was a certain bone that was broken that can only be broken by a choke
in the trachea. Yeah.
And I was like, I'd never even heard of that shit. I was like, that's some crazy shit. But of course, it's coming from an autologist. Of course, he would know better than I would, of course, right? So I guess there is ways you can find out if somebody was choked out or, vice versa, or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
But again, if you really want, right, because he knew some people and sold drugs. Mm-hmm. She knew some people and kind of dabbled, right? We're not talking about people who are just smoking a little reefer here and there. We're talking about people who were into that.
Yeah. They
themselves were well deep into living that lifestyle, something they both enjoyed very much so.
Yeah.
If you owe somebody $32,000, or I guess if they're dead, more than $32,000, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that $32,000 be taken with them?
Yeah. You would think. So
Yeah,
that's the weird part of it.
Stand on hyperbole?
Right.
You guys, I'll leave the money for you.
Yeah. So why was the money left? Again,
Great question.
that's what casts a little bit of doubt on the theory of this, right? Just like how the prior theory, there's that cast of doubt, And
right. No smoking gun, so to say.
Right. No murder weapon.
Murder weapon.
Again, was the drug deal gone wrong? Did they stumble upon
I don't think so.
No?
Drug deal gone wrong, because even drug deal gone wrong, right? Let's say they go out in the middle of the woods. But first off, and you would hope that people wouldn't bring their daughter directly to a meth handoff, but maybe they would.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's going to kill them for maybe the meth that they're selling or pushing.
Mm-hmm.
You're telling me those people aren't going to go find their car that they clearly would have had and taken everything, including the dog?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Meth people will eat that dog, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, meth people will do anything, for meth.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So drug deal gone bad or owed money to drug nefarios. I could see where people would make those connections, right?
But they would take
There's
the money.
some ties, but the money.
Yeah, the money.
The money.
That's what cast out again.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, Jay, that brings us to theory number 3.
Numero 3.
Yeah, and that's the cult involvement. And I want to be talking about that. And this is kind of interesting. This is a little bit of a twist, but kind of makes a little bit of sense. No? But let me get into it. The cult involvement theory is surrounding the Jamison family's disappearance and deaths is one of the more sensational, mysterious explanations offered in the baffling case, of course. This theory suggests that the family may have been involved with or maybe been targeted by a cult, which is maybe a role that was played into their demise, but we don't know, of course. This idea was fueled by various pieces of circumstantial evidence, rumors, and the family's own behaviors and interest in the months leading to their disappearance. So let's talk about some of the factors of why they think this is a viable theory. So there was claims by Sherilyn's mother. One of the strongest proponents by the cult involvement theory is Sherilyn's mother, Connie Cochran. And she claimed that the Jamison's family had been targeted by a violent cult in the southeastern Oklahoma. According to her, the cult had placed the family on a hit list and was responsible for their deaths. However, Connie did not provide specific details or evidence to support this claim, and it's unclear of how much of this was just based on concrete information versus actual speculation. So, Sherilyn's interest in spirituality and the occult. Let's talk about the factors. So this is one supposedly. Sherilyn Jamison was reportedly interested in spirituality. She was interested in the occult. Supposedly there was reports that indicated that she had dabbled in Wicca. She had a collection of books and items related to witchcraft at the house. So, while Wicca is really kind of like agnostic, really kind of peaceful, nature-centered belief system, so to me that doesn't scream like, oh, she's some kind of devil worshiper or something like that. No.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Veruca Salt in the crap.
Right, yeah. But, though, you hear some people and they say Wicca, they're like, oh, she's a devil worshiper. No, that's not what that is. But
Yeah. And Motley Crue was saying, shout with the devil, not shout at the devil. Right.
You're right. That's right, yeah. Well,
that's how it works, man. Guilt by association.
There you go. But there were rumors that she may have been involved in more sinister practices that attracted the attention of dangerous group. Additionally, Sherilyn had written a strange graffiti on the storage container on their property, which included a cryptic message and references to both good and evil. Some interpreted this as signs of disturbed mind, and it was evidence of involvement supposedly with dark forces. Some people took it as. So another aspect to this that leads into this is Bobby's belief in the spiritual attacks. So let's talk about this. Bobby Jamison had also reportedly believed that their family was under a spiritual attack. He confided in his pastor that he thought that the Ufala home was basically haunted. They were basically tormented by spirits. The belief was that these supernatural forces, Jay, contributed to the theory that they were targeted by this cult and had basically unwittingly become involved in something that beyond their control. So, again, this leads into a very, dark aspect of, the backwoods culture. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when we don't think about it, but it's kind of a mix between religion and their own cultish beliefs, right? They mix things together.
I've lived in it. Yeah, I've lived in it.
It can become very dangerous thing.
It can become very dangerous, especially, and it not necessarily a color thing, right? If you don't fit in, you don't fit in.
Right.
And that's all there is to it.
Yep.
And they'll be really nice to your face,
Mm-hmm.
and then they will do really awful things behind your back, like put your car keys on the urinal. Neither here nor there. Flat tires. So,
oh boy,
I think you're in this area where the populace is more spread out. You have less human interaction you do have a small town type of community, but sometimes those small town type communities are the easiest to hide those kinds of things in.
Hell yeah.
Because you get really good at acting those positions.
Yeah. Anybody see Texas Chainsaw Massacre? The fake cop?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The cop that you think is a cop that is not a cop?
Not a cop.
Well, part of that aspect here, Jay, actually leads into my next point that kind of supports the cult theory. There, the isolation and the paranoia kind of sits in being out there. You know what I mean? The months leading into their disappearance, the Jamison family became increasingly isolated, paranoid. Their friends and family noted that there was changes in their behavior, including a growing distrust of others and a belief that they were just being watched and targeted. So a lot of paranoia, Jay, and it was consistent with the idea that they were either involved in a cult or feared of being harmed by one. And, being on that remote location,
it's a legit fear.
Yeah.
It's a legit fear. Yeah, I get it.
There's no cops that are like 30 miles from you in some places. You know what I mean?
And there's no guarantee.
And there's no guarantee they're going to even get out to you. Right.
If you're someone like, these people have already kind of put red flags up. They're already a bit aloof. When you act weird in those little towns, man, it stands out like a sore thumb, and nobody wants that weird around you.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody likes status quo. And again, if you live in Oklahoma, it's not a slight on you. There's plenty of wonderful things to do in Oklahoma. I get it. We're very appreciative for the things you present to our capital.
Mm-hmm.
But also, that being said, right?
Mm-hmm.
It isn't like Boca where I can reach out and touch my neighbor's window.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about a much more sprawling, spread out, usually kind of lifestyle. And now you start to act a little weird. People start to turn your back. They start to pull away from you. You then start to overreact to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just becomes this snowball effect.
Right.
The harder you want to be part of their life, the more they pull away. But the more you feel them pull away, the more you want to isolate yourself. And you feel bad about yourself. And then...
It's like a never ending. It's like a circle of just, never ending.
Vicious cycle.
It's a vicious cycle. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a vicious cycle.
Well, again, another, idea that kind of lends into this cult, theory is that them wanting to buy this big scale of land, living off the grid. And some people, kind of speculate that they were going to use this land to either start a cult or maybe actually it encroached on another cult area. So a lot of theories surrounding this there here, Jay. So again, the cult involvement theory can be broken down into several potential scenarios. I think one of them that, the family was involved in a cult. Again, I think that it was either the family was targeted by a cult, if you're going to go ahead and use this theory. So it was either one of those two. It really could have been anything else if you're going to go there.
If it was this one, I believe it would have to be something along the lines of they did something. They happened to have a personal interaction that was negative, maybe with someone they didn't realize was in this cult, and maybe next thing you know, you have this cult bearing down on you, breathing on the back of your neck. That adds stress, again, making erratic actions. Because you're stressed, you're going to be doing more things that you would normally to try to settle yourself down that might not actually settle yourself down, might only spin you up. Then this thing leads you to go, I don't know, graffiti their thing.
Yeah.
If it's a violent cult, I don't imagine they're going to be too happy with that. Right? Yeah. But now, okay, so you've gone and done this thing because in that moment you had all kinds of no give a fuck running through your veins.
Yeah.
Trying, friends.
Try.
But you have all this I don't care running through your veins, and then you spray paint that thing, and now you start to kind of come down from that, and you go, oh my God, what did I do?
Yeah.
And now you have this violent cult that you may or may not actually be breathing down your neck. All you know is that you defaced some of their property, and they're probably not going to be happy if they see you.
Yeah. Well, going back to the theory, Jay, you know, the counter arguments to this is that there was no, you know, all this is speculative. There's no actual, you know, evidence of them being in a cult. Their bodies, their remains, there was no evidence of any kind of like ritualistic type of activity or anything like that, you know, to suggest, you know, them being in a cult. So in conclusion, you know, it's a good idea. It's a, you know, maybe plausible theory, but I think there's others on this list that are higher and more plausible and make more sense than this one. But let's get into number 4, Jay, which is you.
That's me.
Yeah, let's talk about it. The supernatural or the paranormal aspect.
Which kind of really ties into the kind of occult to a level, right?
Yep.
Because they're saying that they were already having issues with spiritual attacks, according to Bobby.
Yep.
He believed there were some. He believed they were benign or benevolent spirits that attached themselves to him, but he did realize that there were some other things. So the supernatural and paranormal theories surrounding Jamison family's disappearance is one of the more intriguing, if not eerie, explanations for the family's unsolved case. This theory suggests the family had been influenced or tormented or even killed by the supernatural forces or paranormal entities while in their home. This theory is speculative and lacks empirical evidence, as it is kind of hard to, you know, handcuff a ghost, right? Can't shoot double on a ghost. Say it all the time. But it's gained some traction due to their strange behaviors, right? So, again, we've talked about how whether it was a drug deal going bad or whether they owed someone or something money or it was an occult that they had kind of come across, or it's maybe these ghosts. You have people who are clearly beyond their capability of handling stress. They are freaking out, and that is going to lead you to see things, feel things, or realize things.
Yeah.
As I said, the belief. Go ahead.
Yeah, one of the things was that Cheryl Lynn, supposedly she had an interest in the occult, and there was a lot of rumors about that.
Well, there's rumors about her having interest in the occult and those things, but if we're talking supernatural, just because she was interested in it, right? But maybe she was interested in it because we just said that they had kind of some issues, so maybe she was trying to, you know more about her enemy. Right? Or maybe she was hoping to learn something from the occult in reference to this because she was trying to figure out how to fight these demons. The part that's probably most compelling about all this is when you hear about Madison's imaginary friend, Madison being the daughter.
Yeah.
6-year-old Madison Jamison had reportedly had an imaginary friend named Emily. While having imaginary friends is not uncommon for children, Madison's friend was described as having some disturbing characteristics, which is unsettling in a 6-year-old child.
Yeah.
So way it goes. According to Sherilyn, Madison had told her that Emily was a long-dead child and that she would have conversations with this imaginary friend about dark and unsettling topics. Some believe that Emily might not have been the imaginary friend at all, but rather a spirit or entity that was influencing Madison, possibly even drawing the family to their supernatural occurrences and untimely deaths. So again, now you have this group of 3 people who they believe they are being attacked by spirits.
Yeah.
They're seeking out the occult. They are doing
kid's talking
methamphetamine.
to a ghost. A dead
Kid's talking to a ghost.
A
That
dead
is
girl.
going to stress you out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't have enough money to pay my bills. Your dad's not working. I'm barely working. And now you're telling me that there's this dead kid living in our house?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot of stress, man. And that's just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the influence or possession of spirits.
Mm-hmm.
They both had believed there have been spiritual attacks. They both had sought out ways of, one went to the occult, one was seeking church enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
They would both seem to move in trance-like state, right? We talked about security footage earlier where they're kind of moving things back and forth with no real purpose. They were just kind of like moving things to move things, right?
It's weird.
We've heard people being possessed or influenced by the supernatural, sometimes doing that just because they're being controlled. They're not actually, there is no purpose to their movements.
Mm-hmm.
Supernatural encounters in the woods, right?
Mm.
You've been out in the woods. You hear things. You see things. I mean, no Bigfoot, but
yeah, no.
Other things.
Yeah.
You can see some supernatural. I mean, we went to Devil's Tree. That's not even all that deep in the woods, and we had a very interesting experience. I'm only saying interesting.
Woods, like he said. That's not that far.
Not that far.
I mean, how
long? Not that far.
5 minutes.
And we both have had moments where we've had minor heart attacks due to something happening over there.
Oh, Lord.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Now, maybe these spirits made Sherilyn bring the whole family out there for spiritual killing.
True. That's a good idea.
Maybe Bobby was trying to cleanse the family. Maybe he was trying to protect family that we don't know about, family that maybe had been estranged, family that maybe we hit him with a car. You know, maybe there's things out there that he was trying to protect, and this was the only way he saw it. There's no real way to know, but according to Mom, the kid's talking to a long dead child. We have heard and seen some stories about some people walking out to the middle of the woods and doing unspeakable things to themselves under the guise and influence of something that wasn't really there.
Hey, you know what? That's the hard part, Jay, is that when that's happening, that it's so hard to find evidence of that because, like, how are you going to find evidence of that? Really, think about it. You can't, right? There's no way.
Not that's going to be accepted. Not that's going to be accepted
Right.
by a wide mass as an explanation.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Because it doesn't fit within our bounds of understanding.
You're right. Yeah. And that's the most complicated part of this whole thing is that, man, when we find an answer and it doesn't conform to your beliefs and it contradicts some things, that's where things kind of get weird. Well, that's a good one, Jay. I think that's a really solid theory. Again, it's hard, with those factors because, if it was a ritual or something gone wrong, like, there was no evidence.
There'd be more evidence.
There'd be more evidence, right? Exactly.
There'd be evidence.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't ritualistically kill yourself, your child, your husband, your child, and then yourself.
Right.
And not leave something. Those are not the type of people that they, go shooting themselves in the head. They didn't do things like drink Kool-Aid.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, Jay, I want to get into the last theory, theory number 5, and probably, again, one of the top theories, I think, on the list. Foul play by unknown individuals. This is a theory, of course.
Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Yeah. Well, of course, this theory that the family fell victim to a foul play and some individuals is one of the more plausible, of course, theories. Robbery, murder, kidnapping, or even a targeted attack. The robbery, not so much because, again, we talked about this. The money was left.
$32.
Yeah, again, there's no way. But some factors supporting this theory. The remote, isolated location. Of course, when they went missing, they were in a populated area of southeastern Oklahoma. Again, like Jay said, it's in the middle of nowhere. Oklahoma's Oklahoma. It's an ideal location for criminal activity. as Jay mentioned earlier.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
Yeah, the area's isolation. It means, that witnesses are very unlikely, and you're not going to have a lot of that or altercations, that are not going to go
needle in a haystack
unnoticed. Yeah, like you said. Yeah, Jay. So going back to that theory, the large sum of cash found. The investigators, of course, they found that $32,000. Again,
and put it in their pockets.
Yeah, they didn't take it, so that's the problem with that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well.
Maybe
maybe not
that way, right?
This might be the only one of all the theories, honestly, that explains why the $32,000 wasn't touched, right? So, as I was doing some of my own research, not hastily at the last second at all, I did come across the fact that the altercation he had with a family member was his estranged father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hadn't talked to him, they hadn't spoken in years, and the last time they did speak, they ended up having a falling out and having a big argument, right?
Right.
When wouldn't you want money?
Mm-hmm.
When that money is guaranteed going to send you to jail.
Exactly.
Unless somebody took your grinder full of weed, and then it's worth it.
$30 worth. Yeah. Can't find that eighth. Well, yeah, Jay, the unsolved nature of this whole case, it leads into this, theory as well. The fact that the case remains unsolved after so many years, Jay, with no definitive, cause of death that's determined. It suggests, possibility of course, foul play. The lack of clear evidence pointing to an accident or natural causes, leaves room to the theory that this family was deliberately harmed, by unknown individuals.
Something.
That
something
successfully covered their tracks. That's, to me, how this, I think, happened. I mean...
See, I disagree.
You do?
I disagree. I do have a theory on what I think happened.
What do you think, Jay? I love to hear it.
So, I think everything... The reason why it seems like everything has a bit of merit is because everything does have a bit of merit. Okay? Let me paint a picture for you. I did used to live in very backwoods Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
People who... And if you enjoy methamphetamine and Dark Fringe Radio, please don't take this as a slight. I enjoy what you enjoy. Like I said to Will earlier, as long as it doesn't happen in my bedroom, I don't genuinely care.
Please use responsibly. Have Narcan next to you. Yeah, please.
So when people do methamphetamine, when people cook methamphetamine, when they make their own meth, which is something that a lot of people do once they get hooked to it, because it's easier to make than it is to find and or buy.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very tricky chemical thing to do, so a lot of times you end up just getting stoned on battery acid. Okay? Not great for your body.
Not good at all.
So, but I've heard of people, I've seen people who were high on meth. They would do the meth in their house, they build the meth, but then their kids get addicted to it because it's on everything. It's everywhere.
Mobile meth fans?
Mobile meth fans. So these people...
Call back. Yeah.
Way back.
That's a way back callback for those.
That's a way back call.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mobile meth fans. They're a thing.
They were a thing.
Oh.
They were a thing. But so you have, right?
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So now you have a family, and not just mom and dad, because my guess is the little one was somehow getting it some way into her body.
Yeah.
Some way.
Yeah.
Okay. Meth, especially when you're looking at the kind of copious amounts, I can assume that they were probably ingesting.
Yep.
Will cause you to have high hallucination. I don't know why that came out almost like high.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. Hallucination.
Yeah.
Tough word. So you have these people who are so high.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why they're getting high is because they are hard up for money. Dad isn't working. Dad isn't working because dad was hit by granddad with a car.
Mm.
There's where that car accident that affected him comes.
Mm.
Dad hit him with the car for their argument and ended up leaving him permanently brain damaged to a level where he couldn't work and was living off disability. So now you and I are both fathers. I do everything I can do to generate as much money, as much revenue, as much support as I can for this household, for the ones I love, whether they're in the house or not. And it's all I can do. I can imagine, because I've been in those positions where I don't have enough money, and rent's coming due and electric is due, and you don't know where you're going to come up with money. And
things get hard. Yeah,
it makes it stressful. So you get high to alleviate the pain, but now you're getting so high that your brain is misfiring and you're starting to walk around like a zombie when you are so stoned. Because your body now starts to move, to act. I can tell you that my body will sometimes just act when I'm maybe a little Betty Crocker, and
not move like you wanted to. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Or move when I didn't expect it to.
Yeah, that happens too. Yeah.
That's the better one.
Oh yeah.
So sometimes.
Yep.
How did I get here?
How did I get here? Yeah. How did I wake up here?
I don't remember sitting on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
I was in the garage.
Well, Jay.
So I believe, right? You add in all that stress and the $32,000.
Yep.
Right. So maybe dad doesn't like what's happening, or granddad doesn't like what's happening. They're trying to figure it out. My true belief is, I believe that the dad, Bobby, had come across that note that the wife had written.
Yeah.
I believe he got insanely mad, insanely high. They talked about this pile of land. They were going to go off the grid.
Yep.
I believe in a semi-premeditated, but also somewhat momentarily impassioned, said, I've got no connection with my father who hit me with a car and has left me disabled. I can't work.
Right.
I am not supporting my family. They would be better off if I was dead. But oh my God, I'm not going to let my wife be happy without me.
Yeah.
No, and then you can't leave the kid behind, because then you're leaving the kid with the asshole father that you don't like in the first place. So you end up with this, okay, well, I was able to talk to the guy. He's going to take a $32,000 deposit now. Let's go take everything we had, everything that means anything. We're going to sell it. We're going to get all of our cash. We pack up the dog. It's the one thing I can't bring myself to kill. Maybe somebody will come across it, or will just die naturally out here in the woods.
Yep.
You feed your loved ones something as you drive out to the woods, and then all three of you just expire on a 3-mile walk. You go walking on a walk and never expect to return from.
Yeah, that's a good one, Jay.
I believe the dad had such a breakdown that between the drugs, he tried to make it as easy to get the family to go along with what he was doing, so he wouldn't have to ever look at himself in the mirror on how much he had failed.
Wow. Listen, very plausible theory, Jay. I mean, it's just as plausible as any of the ones we were talking about tonight. I can tell you that.
It kind of picks them all, except
it kind of puts them all together, except for the spiritual and paranormal.
Not the occult.
Yeah.
I believe the dead girl was hallucinations. I believe the mom
was
going to go with
related,
it.
Probably.
Yeah, right.
Drug-induced.
She's kind of, unfortunately, the kid was probably tripping balls on meth.
Right.
Totally accidentally, right? Just
maybe. By proxy.
Right? By proxy, she's seeing things.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And
well, again, Jay, this remains, due to lack of investigation and the exact circumstances leading to the deaths of this family. This remains one of the most perplexing disappearances in recent memory. In my it's baffling. Without new evidence, nothing, no breakthroughs. This I don't think is ever going to be solved. I think this could remain what it is. People
it'll never be solved, because there's too many possible motives.
Yeah. Yep.
There's too many variables, too many unknowns.
Yep. And
too many things that conventional knowledge or what you would believe would be common sense would tell you, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would there be $32,000 sitting in a truck? Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of things that make you question it, but also why would somebody take their family out and allow them to die in the woods?
Yep. Right. Jay.
So those things happen. they're illogical, but they happen, and it's hard to say why. So I also believe that this will go forever unsolved because I don't think there's enough evidence left over.
Right.
And I think the rest of us are just going to try our best to fill in the blanks.
Unless there's like an eyewitness that came out and said, "Oh yeah, I know definitively what happened."
Yeah, I happened to be there and saw them all collapse, or I saw the aliens pick them up for a few days and then redeposit their body. Okay. Theory number 6. UFO.
There you go, UFOs. Yeah, they dropped them from the sky. That's why they were there, and they found them 4 years later.
I think they would call those UFO. Oh no!
Oh no! Whoa! Well, Jay, I think that's a good wrap up for tonight, and the Jamison family mystery. Again, one of the most bizarre and baffling stories that you'll ever hear. And like you said, Jay, I don't think you'll ever find the answer to this question, but. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode of Dark Fringe Radio. Again, before we say goodnight, anything you want to add, Jay?
Be on the lookout for our new game. I'm not sure what we're going to call it. The Florida Man, the new update to the Florida Man
That's
sagas.
all you, Jay. I'm leaving it up to you.
So we'll have that. Be on the lookout. That will be ready for our next podcast, next episode.
Yes.
Which will be we're going to be getting back into a good flow. So be on the lookout for that. Please keep in mind, friends, that everybody around is going through something. Try to be a little bit of kind. And, something I had to give to my wrestlers a lot today, and I think it's a good, quick, easy life lesson that Dad taught me was life is all about attitude and effort. Mm-hmm. Even if you have a bad day, but you have a good attitude and you give the maximum effort that you are capable of giving, you'll have a pretty fair day.
Yeah, you can't beat that. Great words, Jay, and come from a great man, of course. Couldn't have said it better. Thanks so much, Jay, for joining us this week on Dark Fringe Radio. And, of course, guys, please tune in next week to Dark Fringe Radio, darkfringeradio.com, and we'll see you guys again next week. See you.